Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Anna Rosenman. I am the CMO here at Automation Anywhere, and this is a part of our Generative AI content series. Maybe you've joined our LinkedIn Lives or watched a webinar or read a blog, but we're here today to talk to the one and only Peter White. Peter has been working in AI for the last decade, and he leads our AI practice here at our AI practice and product here at Automation Anywhere. Peter, how are you?
Doing good. Happy to be here.
Great. Generative AI. Have you heard of it?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
First thing I want to ask is, okay, I'll share my personal story. I am a mom. I have a 1-year-old, and I'm in a mommy group. And we were talking about like how do we pack for a vacation? And one of the moms said, you should use ChatGPT to book your packing list, which is an amazing use case. Highly recommend for those of you packing for trips. But there's so many use cases for generative AI out there. I know I'm really inspired by this. How would you compare this to some of the AI trends that you've seen over the last 10 years? Like, where does this compare in your like awesomeness radar or awesomeness
I don't
range?
think there's a comparison in the time I've worked on AI. I mean, at this level of excitement and potential around what's out there. Obviously there's the hype element of it. Some of the things are probably a little ahead of themselves, but there's so much possibility and already so much that everyone like yourself can see themselves around what can be done with the technology. And that's, I think, part of the reason why you have such broad excitement, because anyone can go for free onto the website, ask it a question, and get a really good response. And so I think it's so accessible that everyone's starting to see that potential, and the fact that it doesn't require any technical expertise to start to use it makes it just really kind of a different level of innovation than we've seen in this space for a long time.
Okay, so I totally agree. But again, this is from me with my packing list. Or, I've asked generative AI to help us write some content for marketing, just experimenting a little bit. But how would you sort of characterize all of the different things that generative AI can do?
Well, I think it's hard to characterize everything it could do because every day there seems to be a new application of it that someone is working on. But I like to think about, what are the applications for businesses especially, and how can we categorize those to help people think about where they might use this? And I break it down into 4 areas typically. The first is around generating content, which is generative AI, fits perfectly. But there's a lot of things you do in your daily job, typing up messages, typing up documents, things like that generative AI can help you to do, typing up blogs or content for marketing. I used it myself as an assistant and an editor when I've written a blog already, and it does a fabulous job of both giving me ideas and proofreading and suggesting improvements. So that generation of content and assistance around that is a great one. Second category, I'd say, is summarization. You have a lot of data out there that you need to use in the course of your job. Generative AI does a great job of taking all that and writing really focused summaries based on what you want to know about that. And so that can be very valuable in a lot of different places, whether you're
like high school term papers.
Yeah. It can be very valuable as a student. I could see that too. If I was in school today, I would be spending a lot of time, or maybe not a lot of time, on ChatGPT to do my homework. So those are great applications. And then extracting information especially for automated workflows where you might need to pull some key information out of something that is unstructured. Again, an email, a document, something like that. Generative AI can help you do that without any pre-training and at really high quality and accuracy. So great for just grabbing key information from documents or other pieces of information that you need to do your work.
Like a rebate number or something.
Yeah,
that's where my head is at.
Yeah.
Like I still do the email for customer service. Maybe
Yeah.
that's old school, but that's how I do it. And you always send in your order number. You
Yeah.
always send in, the date it arrived or the product code number. I recently sent back like a massage gun.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, and doing it in one example might be quick, but
Yeah.
when you have to do that in 1,000 things, now generative AI can save you a lot of time. And you combine that with automation to help you work through all of that data. You've saved hours of time using generative AI. And a lot of, some of these applications, people might point out that, you could do these before. We had NER, entity extraction technologies using AI before to do this. But the thing that I think, even for those rather simple use cases, the thing that's very different this time is that you can do it without training a specific model, without any setup. It's off-the-shelf, pre-trained models that can do a lot of these tasks at equal quality to what a prior model could do, but it required a lot of training or tuning to get it to really focus or work for a particular task. And so that I think really changes the possibilities, because now you don't have to make a big investment in developing these models. You can just start to use them. So that's, I think, a big change. And then the last area I think is really exciting, especially for the more techie crowd, is generating code. Most developers either have or are realizing that this is a great coding assistant. It can really help you basically write code that you can execute, is ready to go. I've used it to write code. When I get an error with that code, I copy the error code back to ChatGPT and get a new piece of code on how to fix that. So it can help troubleshoot through the code as well. So I think that opens up a lot of possibilities too, when you think about how this does more than just give you maybe information or work with content. It now helps you do things. It helps you write code to, parse information out of a complex database table or something like that you would have taken days to write. You can now do quickly with these generative AI models.
I think that's super inspiring for me. Another use case that's not just, my packing list is at Automation Anywhere. We're a global company. We've got global web pages, global content, and it costs a lot of money and it takes a lot of time to do that translation. So one of the things that we want to do as a company is help reskill people all over the world, in any community, to be able to learn how to automate. Now, creating that content would be really time consuming and a really big, heavy lift for us. Now, with generative AI, we can do it so quickly and make sure everyone all over the world is able to access material that can help them change their lives. So I think there is this great opportunity for scaling to do things that are super inspiring, but you need them done fast.
Yeah.
Like, this is such an accelerant.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a use case you could start doing today, which is just, it's really amazing how fast these things have become possible.
Yeah. So speaking of fast, whenever there's a new technology, there's often this hype cycle. So, oh my gosh, everyone's talking about it. Like, I don't know if the listeners of this video or have been on LinkedIn lately, but everyone's got a blog about AI and generative AI. I know at Automation Anywhere, we've got a ton. Peter wrote one. How fast do you think that this is a, hype cycle peak right now? Like, do you think that there's going to be, a huge loss of momentum, or what do you think? Is this worth the hype?
It's definitely worth the hype.
Yeah.
We might be at a peak in terms of the hype, but I think we're going to move pretty quickly to the realization. I think it's going to happen in such a short time frame. People are going to be surprised. By the end of the year, I think most businesses will be using this in production in at least some ways. Right now, even the models are still often in preview. They're not ready for production. But that's going to change in, Q2, Q3. This year, you're going to see that change pretty quickly. And some of those just low-hanging fruit, I'd say, use cases, things that you could use AI, and maybe some of the use cases you could use AI for before, but you didn't have the resources or the will to go and train custom models. You can now just deploy generative AI to do that. So, and then, there's obviously the hype about the, future possibilities of the AI becoming more autonomous and capabilities with agents and things like that. Those are going to, maybe be a little further out before those start to become realized in terms of the more advanced capabilities of what this can do. But I think the hype is definitely well-deserved, to answer your original question.
Well, so let me ask you, because you mentioned this really briefly, and I want to dig into it for all of our watchers. How do AI and automation fit together?
Yeah, so I think the AI parts and the generative AI parts, really, I mean, if you talk about large language models, it's about generating language. But then turning that language into action is where automation comes in.
Mm-hmm.
So, just like I mentioned, you can generate code. Well, you can think about the future. You're going to be able to generate automation from these, and building automation or executing automation just based on what you want to do can totally change the way you interact with your, computer, with technology. So tell us what you want to do. We will automate it for you. So I think there's that really exciting future where, it sort of changes the whole kind of landscape of automation. And then there's also just the reality that to today make these models more productive in a business, especially, you need to put them in the context of an automation. You might be able to do a bunch of individual tasks, but if you still have someone who's copying and pasting information between applications and ChatGPT or whatever, generative AI you're using, they're wasting a bunch of time. It's still taking a while. Well, what if you built an automation for them that with one click or a few clicks can just do all those steps, and it just pulls in the user when it needs help or when there's something that needs review. So I think having that automation combined with generative AI is what really is going to kind of unlock the bigger opportunities, especially for businesses.
I love that. It sounds like there's two components, right? Automation is what you need to take that AI and make it useful, like actually do something. And then AI also makes it possible to create automations with more ease. So it's like this virtuous cycle. It's an infinity loop of AI and automation. I love it.
Yeah, we can get back to your agents concept around that.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, for all of the IT leaders who might be watching, or aspiring IT leaders or friends of IT, what should technologists be doing to take advantage of this trend, to prepare for the future? Like, where do you think someone could start?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing to do is get started, like you said. So identifying, what are the use cases for your business, given those sort of, the application areas I suggested or others that you've seen. What are the places in your business that can have the biggest impact of using this? And start to build out those workflows, start to build out the automation and using generative AI, even the models in preview with, not production data necessarily, use non-sensitive data to start, but start to test out those workflows and see how they work. And then the other part of it, I think, is, start to prepare for the future in terms of, if you know that, which we do, I think that AI is going to be a big part of every company's strategy. What skill set do you need to, be able to capitalize on that? You probably need people who understand machine learning and data and things like that to help you build your strategy and then ultimately build your solutions around that. And then also data, as I mentioned, big piece of the equation for every company that wants to use these models. So if you don't have a data strategy today, that could be something that holds you back in the future. So every company needs to also start thinking about how they're going to use data to help them drive these new AI technologies and make them more specific to what their business needs. Not just general AI, but there's going to be a lot of opportunities to use company-specific data to tune these models and to prompt these models so that they have the ability to perform more specific tasks to your business.
Got it. So working backwards from those, it sounded like three things. One, get your data right, get it clean and usable. Two, make sure you've got people who know how to manage AI and ML and can kind of be in charge of that. And three, even if you're not using that data that you're cleaning now, get started and start experimenting, because it maybe some of the experiments will be data scientist led, but maybe some of them are going to be marketing led, for example, and you can kind of get started.
Yeah. Get ready, I would say that third one.
Get ready. Okay, so last question, kind of random, but for folks to be able to learn more and stay updated, like, where do you go to get all of your hot takes on AI?
I think a lot of the latest innovations and machine learning researchers and engineers are posting some of the newest things on Twitter.
Okay.
So following, Andrew Yang, who's a well-known professor at Stanford, founder of Coursera, he posts on Twitter some of his thoughts. Also following Sam Altman, other people from OpenAI. So lots of good things there, and a lot of these new projects, the first place they kind of post them and people start talking about them is on Twitter. So I usually go to bed at night scrolling my Twitter feed, learning about the latest AI developments of the day.
Amazing. And then dreaming up the next one, the future of AI at night.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you want to get more hands-on and technical, everyone's posting their new open source AI projects to GitHub, and so you can look at the trending projects on GitHub and see what is the latest thing that people have thought up on how to use AI in these projects.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Peter. I'm so excited to be able to work in whatever app I want and talk to generative AI and have it build me my automation and make work easier, better, and faster. And thank you, everyone, for joining us here today. We've got more to come from Peter, from others, and good luck with your generative AI strategy. Thanks.
Thanks.